This act has come with a bunch of crazy changes that have shaken up the meta tremendously. We got a huge overhaul to all the controllers, kicking Astra out of the meta and making Brim of all agents the most picked controller right now. We also got the Yoru rework that was crazy in its own right, fixing a lot of the issues he previously had. But with all that chaos, there's one agent who I don't see enough people talking about, who I think is arguably the best agent in the game right now. Okay, maybe not the best agent in the game, but he's definitely in the running, and if you read the title of this video, then you would know who I'm talking about. Yes, KayO is really strong right now. So strong that I've decided to make an entire video on him explaining why he's so strong, and what exactly has changed to make KayO so strong all of a sudden. So with that being said, let's get into the video. KayO's kit comes with so many tools, and he's basically like Valorant's version of a Swiss Army knife. He has flashes and a molly, which are the bread and butter of Valorant. The only other agent that has both of those in the same kit is Phoenix. And although Phoenix is no longer in the meta, KayO is still very much relevant at the highest tiers of play. In fact, it's pretty much as if KayO has replaced Phoenix altogether. With almost all the same abilities and a very similar ultimate, it's hard not to compare the two. But KayO has a few things going for him that make him the superior choice. For one, KayO's flashes are so versatile. His right click is so hard to dodge because it detonates so quickly, and the better KayOs understand the spacing well enough to make it detonate the moment it appears on your screen. The left click is also great because it can allow you to peek with the flash to catch enemies while they're trying to look away from it, and it can be used to flash for a teammate as well by throwing it through a smoke they're sitting in, for example. And I've talked a bunch about how useful mollies are on this channel, so having one is always a plus. These abilities make KayO a very versatile agent since flashes and mollies are useful on pretty much every single map. But the thing that separates KayO from the rest of the pack is his suppression. KayO's 0 point and ultimate are criminally underrated right now. Being able to turn off abilities of anyone caught in its radius is so useful on both sides of the map. On attack, suppressing the players trying to hold a site means that you can just push in for free because they won't have any abilities to stall you or make it hard to push. No more mollies, no alarm bots, no trips, and in some cases not even smokes. On top of that, 0 point also tells you which agents you hit as well. So if you don't hit anyone, you know that the site is clear if you threw the knife in a way where it covers the whole site. And don't be confused, 0 point can definitely cover the whole site. KayO's ult, although it doesn't tell you who you've suppressed, is much more guaranteed to suppress players trying to hold a site. The knife can be shot and destroyed in some cases, and if a player is just out of range, they can stand away for half a second and then start retaking right after. Where null command makes sure that any player that tries to retake while it's still going off will be suppressed no matter what. The ult also gives him a second life, and while downed he will still continue to suppress enemies. So there's really nothing you can do. You can't run away, you can't kill him, you pretty much have to play retake or try to hold the site without any utility, which isn't impossible, but it is pretty hard to do. On defense, suppression stops an entire push pretty much all by itself. If you time it right, you can cut off an enemy team of all their abilities and force them to push in without any flashes or other important util you need for an execute. This will usually stall a team long enough for their smokes to go down since they're usually not going to push in. And if they do decide to force their way onto a site, it should be a very easy site to hold. And on top of that, KayO's knife will also tell your teammates how many enemies you've suppressed, giving them information that they can use to know whether or not they should rotate. So I guess the big question is, if suppression's so strong, then why wasn't KayO already super strong before? Well, he kinda was. Pro players were already playing him on different maps well before this new patch. 100 Thieves were even known for having Steel play him way back when. And even before this new patch, more and more teams were starting to adopt him and he was slowly taking the place of Skye on certain maps. I would argue that even without the huge patch we had, he probably would have eventually seen more widespread play. His kit was always strong, but he was kinda just undiscovered. But just because he was starting to see more play before doesn't mean that this patch didn't help him out. No, this patch had a pretty big impact on KayO even though he himself was not directly touched. The reason for this is because Astra being out of the meta takes one more obstacle away that KayO originally had to deal with. Before, if you tried pushing a site with KayO, you could suppress everyone on the site, but if Astra wasn't one of those agents, she could still stall your push from the other side of the map. She could put up a smoke and then use her gravity well to help the players on site, and then by the time the gravity well was gone, the suppression would almost be over. This meant that when trying to push a site hard with KayO, especially with his ult, you needed to make sure that you were pushing into the Astra so that you could turn off her abilities. Astra not being picked anymore means that there's one less obstacle that KayO needs to worry about. So now if a KayO ults, you can be sure that there's pretty much nothing the enemy team can do to slow down your push besides hit their shots. This left us with an agent with a really powerful pop flash, a molly, and one of the strongest mechanics in the game in his suppression. And Astra not being in the meta really changes how the game is played, especially with KayO being as strong as he is. You can't really sit back on defense anymore since you don't have Asher utility to slow pushes. And if you do sit on site and wait for the enemy team to come to you, you're just going to have your kit turned off and you're going to get run over. It's very important to be proactive on defense to try to get an early pick to lower the chances of the enemy team's site execution being successful. And this is a huge theme for this act. Really fast pushes are so much more prevalent now, so knowing how to counter that playstyle is very important if you want to be able to climb this act. Calming to one or two of your teammates to try to make a play on defense is going to be a huge key to winning rounds this act on CT side. And this is, at least in part, thanks to KayO's kit, which is currently a little overloaded in my opinion. He can do pretty much everything, and because of that, I personally think he's going to be the agent to watch out for this meta. If you're not playing him already, I would highly recommend picking him up, as the tools in his kit are strong and the fundamentals you can learn from playing him will help you when playing other agents as well. I can definitely see Riot nerfing him in the future, but for now I'm going to enjoy locking him in. Hey guys, hope you all enjoyed this video about my opinions on KayO this meta, and if you did, don't forget to leave a like. It's so crazy to see how much the meta has shifted, and I'm happy to see that KayO is starting to see some time in the spotlight. Please feel free to let me know what you think of the new act in the comments. I'd love to hear all your opinions. Don't forget that if you want to catch me live, I stream on Twitch at twitch.tv/JitterzVal if you want to check me out. Also, follow me on Twitter if you'd like, I post on there pretty often. And if you want to join my Discord community, there will also be a link in the description for that as well. Finally, don't forget to subscribe for more Valorant related content.